Hey guys, well, I showed you this brush yesterday, Declaration Grooming B5 on a Rubberset, I think maybe a 400 handle, a vintage handle, and I just completely enjoyed it yesterday. So let's hit that again. The razor and blade today is a new to me, and I've kind of had it on my list for quite a while. They don't come up very often. This is a Gillette President. Back in the early 30s, I think 33 to 35, they made this razor, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. The Nacet blade I've got, it's just been used twice, pretty young guy, and the soap for today is Lavender from Barrister and Mann, and this is the Rsrv line. I don't often go with lavender scents, but I got a cheap soap from Cyril Salter that was lavender scented, and I thought, you know what, lavender doesn't have to be all florally and feminine, so let's try a couple of lavenders and see what's going on. This came up at a good deal. I don't think I'll be wearing the aftershave splash very much, but I figured I'd try it out. Smells nice. It does smell like it has maybe some greenery in there with it. So, and it doesn't smell feminine off the dry puck. Now, I did recently discover that the Rsrv base wasn't my favorite Barrister and Mann base. And that was a little disappointing, because I remember when I first tried it, it was super slick and creamy, silky, just silky smooth. Well, I'm guessing my experience level back then just wasn't where it is now. And so my standards have changed a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a great soap, but there are just so many great ones out there right now that it's a nitpicking thing to kind of put them in the place, you know, but as you choose your inventory, as you choose the ones you're going to keep around and that kind of thing, you kind of have to do a little bit of that. All right. I'm going to use my melamine, beaded melamine Dollar Tree bowl again today. It's been working great so far. So let's get a little, oh no, before we get my hands wet, I'm going to work this wrapping paper. So this is the third use. And this is a easy installation, twist to open. And there we go. The President is pretty much the same as the Aristocrat. Super similar. Notice that the Aristocrat has more of a smooth collar up here, whereas it's got knurling right there. Similar down here. Both hollow bottoms. Should shave somewhat similarly. But I did read that they were fiddling around in the early 50s with the blade angles in the Presidents. And so a certain year President could shave very differently than others. Now, I don't see the letter designation. Nope, this is a Y. A Y2. So I can now look that up and find out what year this one is. So that's kind of neat. There were some Presidents that had this band right here more similar to that one where it wasn't knurled. There was a few of those, and speculation is that they were just reusing some Aristocrat handles into the President series. Some people speculate that 53 came out right when Dwight Eisenhower became president. Some people believe that that's kind of where the name came from, but they already had a diplomat and some other of those sort of names, and so it's also possible that they just brought that name along because of others in that same family. All right, so let's get my face wet. Not quite a 24-hour growth today, since I was late shaving yesterday. All right, we're gonna go big and do like a 50-second load with this brush and this soap, because it's possible it could have sat dry for quite a while. But this is a soap that has to have a certain amount of water before it kind of blows up and becomes active and creamy and all that kind of stuff. As usual, my water here is hard and it is cool in temperature, and I'm going to shake out a lot of the water here. So what did I say? 50 seconds? Why not 50? Okay, just for grins. So I'm starting at 10 till a minute mark, so we'll go to 40 after a minute mark. Just medium pressure. I like how this brush has enough backbone to kind of stay at the soap, not start dragging around like I'm pulling it around, you know. Will at Barrister and Mann likes to use a synthetic for lathering Rsrv. He said 25 swirls is his recommendation. Today I'm trying something different. He's also, I think, in the example video he did, and we're getting close to time now. He said that he was face lathering, and so that's slightly different than bowl lathering. All right, so it doesn't look like a lot of soap in there. This soap has some oils, like castor oil, and some kindness type items for your face. And so that's why it doesn't puff up, get airy like and foamy. It stays kind of low. Yeah, there are definitely some, it's not a pure lavender. Definitely smell some greenery pieces, and I'm going to try to describe the scent as best I can. I don't know how good it's going to be. All right. I tried lathering up some spice from the Barrister and Mann line. Played around with it for a little while. Curious to see if this one gives me anything different. And that's when I realized that it didn't really give me a nice kind of thick, viscous, but also staying wet, you know, kind of feeling. Now this brush has got such soft tips that it's going to make any soap feel luxury. You know what's coming up is almost a medicinal note. Not really all that pleasant. That's with 1 teaspoon of water added. Let's add another one. Push down the lather and from the sides, and then work it for a little bit. Yeah. A lot of people like this. I've definitely seen plenty of positive experiences online. But yeah, it's almost like a menthol smell. Some kind of, I don't know, eucalyptus or something like that. Wouldn't that be funny if there was, I have avoided it for so long because there was a lavender scent. I perceived that the lavender scent might not be enjoyable, and it might be some other scent that's in there that is actually what might bother me. Just got the President in recently. I like that old Aristocrat type series. I'm interested in seeing how it feels, because since I've used that old gold Aristocrat that I showed you, I've really run into a lot of other razors, and so I wonder if my perception, my remembering is accurate on that one. Well, this is going to be tons of lather. Didn't look like it too much on the brush, did it? But look at that, just quite a load, and it looks very nice. That's very elastic. Well, let's not take it too far. So I'm going to mix that just to make sure it's a nice, consistent mixture without any dry spots or wet spots, relatively speaking. This is a lot of lather, and this bowl is deep enough to where my fingers aren't hitting a lot of the lather, and the brush sides and my fingers are not banging on the sides of the bowl either. I'm liking this bowl so far. So let's show you again what it's looking like here. That's some pretty good elasticity. I don't think this soap is one that I need to run really thin. I think I learned that in the past. Alright, so I'm going to throw some water on my face, and the razor's ready to go. Yeah, I walked into the bathroom here, went to check the date, see what Y stands for. It's 1953, the first year they made presidents. I think I said 35 or 33 or something earlier. Sorry, that's incorrect. The first Aristocrat, the first TTO, was in 1934. And then I've used that razor. I still have it. And there was a 36 Aristocrat made after that. And then Aristocrats were made for several different periods. And then in 1953, the President was made for a few years. And the Y, and I have a Y2, which means the second quarter of 1953. One person reports, and they seem to be fairly authoritative, that the 53 is the most aggressive of the presidents, similar to the red tip super speed. I've enjoyed my red tip just fine, so that's encouraging. Doesn't seem too aggressive. It's just a heavier handle. And what I didn't like about the red tip, a lot of people love it, was the balance. It was just too handle heavy. I wanted more balance, a little bit more toward the head. Anyway, as I came back from doing that research, I opened the door and was flooded with this medicinal smell. And so I don't think I'm going to like this scent if that continues. Maybe it's a top note that'll burn off kind of quick. Who knows? I just watered my face. So let's put this lather on there. And I've got so much lather in here. If you have a dense brush, sometimes the lather doesn't have as much flow through, and it kind of congregates on the outside of the brush. You can see the inside's kind of empty, and so you just do something like this to bring the lather back around. Push it back in the center of your brush so that you can scrub. I'm glad these tips haven't gelled. You know, gel tips can feel softer sometimes. But I just don't like, 1,000 sponges on my face. I would rather have soft badger tips. Well, how's this? Let's feel this lather here. I feel like it's good on my face now, so I'm going to shave with that. Let's just take a... It sure looks good. But see, it doesn't lay down a buttery slickness on my fingers quite like some of my favorite bases do. And I think that's why I had to, see, look, I even am able to push the lather away. And look at that, it almost looks like there's just no lather on there. Now it does leave a nice little thin, slick layer, and that's why it's obviously a popular soap, because it does do that. But in terms of that nice viscous hand feel, that sort of thing, I have used a couple of them recently that had that, and were just totally delightful. Matter of fact, the WSP wet shaving products, used it last night, had a better finger feel. Now, with the castor oil that's in this particular lather, it's going to be offering my face and skin some really nice treatment, moisturization, healing, that sort of thing, good post-shave feel. I'm less concerned about that, though. That's usually not something I care too much about. Now, the knurling on this sucker is terrific. As this sits on my face and softens my whiskers even more, tell you a little bit about what I learned about this president, more than I've already told you. It's the one of the 2 only razors that are in America from Gillette that are rhodium plated. Brass core, like so many of the others, but rhodium plating is terrific. And then, except for the head, which has a heavy nickel plating, and the level of finish on this razor is just a lot higher quality-wise. The shine, you know, that sort of thing is higher on this razor than many of the other ones that were made. And so it's, you know, kind of high-end in one sense. So 1953, the first year they made it. We'll see when it says more aggressive. We'll see what that means. Oh, and that feels good. That doesn't feel aggressive. That is slicing through those hairs nicely. Very comfortable. That medicinal smell is still kind of going on. This is an excellent blade, it seems, to go with this razor. I feel like I could shave, my first impression, I could shave with this razor every day. And I'm glad I found that information, because I would have assumed that this head design was the same as the Aristocrat that I just showed you, but as in the early 50s, they were playing around, as I said, with the angles and stuff, with the president at least, maybe more razors. And so it's kind of an oil slickness that I feel. The good thing is that it's a performing slickness. It works. Just not my preference, really. But I had to try the lavender out. Maybe I should have just bought a sample, but I got a good deal on this. And I thought, why not? Let's do it. Face feels terrific. Definitely not a razor that's too aggressive for me, unless somehow I'm going to see some buildup with irritation that can sometimes happen. I don't think so, though. I think this is going to be an excellent, great razor for me. So I had to go look up what this medicinal smell might be. I definitely see some relations to lavender, but you know, it's definitely a far cry from a lavender scented candle or lavender potpourri or just you know, lavender scented clothes fabric softener. Just a far cry from that. Definitely not feminine, in my opinion. I looked on Barrister and Mann's website, and I looked on Try That Soap, and the only scent note listed was lavender. It wasn't like lavender and eucalyptus or lavender and camphor or lavender and anise. I might pose a question to Will and see if there was something in there like that, or if maybe this is the nature of the kind of lavender that was used. You know, I mean, there are different lavender plants, I would guess. The Rsrv line, a couple of things about it. The Rsrv line is made to be very hard water tolerant. And so that it is. I don't have any problem whipping up a lather. Yeah, I just got a dose, a nose full of that medicinal type stuff. So it is nice because I do have hard water, so I don't have to worry about that with this soap. Let's add a little. But on the Barrister Mann website, it also says that this will give you an incredibly dense, creamy lather. And I tell you, the reason that I kind of demoted it in my favorites list was because it lacked density. As I rubbed it between my fingers, I wasn't picking up on density. You kind of, your face might feel good with it, but when you evaluate it with your fingers, density is just not. And I've tried dry formulations and wet ones and all that, and I just never got anything that was dense. Maybe I need to face lather with it and see if somehow that is different. One commenter I found, maybe it was on Maggard's website, maybe it was on Barrister and Mann's, was if you're a night shaver, this is a great scent to use before bed because lavender is known for having some relaxing qualities. I don't think this stuff is going to put you to sleep or anything, but I bet it might help a little bit. Yeah, it's just not dense. I mean, it may be dense compared to some really bad soaps, but I don't think. And I think that might be fair to say because people browsing the website might be coming from some really inferior products. So it's a relative, maybe to somebody who's used to Noble Otter, even the Glissant base I like better than this one from Barrister and Mann, and Declaration Grooming, you know, L&L back when they did the Bison base, Fine, and even Sterling has more density. Fine Accoutrements has an awesome lather, as well as something in the WSP, you know, just terrific. A denser, creamier lather that really holds water like a champ. All right. Yeah, I'm super happy with this shave, and I get the feeling that this is not one of those blades where it's comfy because it's not cutting. I think it's comfy because it's sharp and it's just moving through those hairs really well. So this might be a nice magic combo of razor and blade that at least it suits me well. I would not call this razor aggressive. No irritation. Love it. Yeah, nice close cut right there. We're doing good. Water. Now, I don't really do a face cleaning regimen before shaving. I let that first pass do it. And so just now, the rinse was super silky and just felt terrific after that second pass. After the first pass, it wasn't that way. That's because part of it was dedicated to removing those facial oils, which I have an excessive amount of in that first pass. So, tremendous face feel with this soap base in terms of slickness after that second pass, and probably after the third as well. So I'm very pleased that it's nowhere near a feminine lavender, but I don't know if it's an acquired taste. Yeah, I can almost feel it in my eyes, like it has some kind of, you know, evaporative quality, like a menthol might. Something in maybe could it be a slight peppermint note, but it doesn't seem sweet at all like peppermint, or it doesn't really seem minty. It almost has that airiness, the mentholiness of the mint without the flavor of the mint, you know, so that probably means it's not mint. And I'm going to go with cross grain again on my cheeks here. You can, one thing to try is for the third pass, if you don't do it against the grain, like me, it gives me too much irritation and cuts. And if you do 2 cross grain, pass number 2 is a cross grain, pass number 3 is a cross grain. With that second cross grain, you can, sometimes it's nice to reverse the direction. And so for me on my face, it would look more like this, coming away from my mouth, because the second pass had me going toward my mouth. But I kind of get the same good shave either way. And it's just a lot easier for me to shave toward my mouth. So I just decided long ago to do the same pass. Try whatever you feel like doing and see what works for you. This feels terrific. And I'm not stirring up any irritation or anything like that. I'll bet this is one of those soaps that you could put back on your face and have it, you know, after the shave, and almost like a moisturizer or something. I don't do that usually, but I can understand how some soaps would lend more toward that behavior. Yeah, it feels terrific on my face. That sure looks like a good, nice close cut in my trouble spot. So this looks like a winning combo big time, because it did it comfortably as well. So, the lavender threw me a little bit of a curveball. Let me go ahead and do a rinse. The closeness here in my trouble spot is even better than I thought. This is one of the best combos that I've had. And as I recall, this is a much better experience than the Aristocrat gives me. So it looks like maybe this is a different head with slightly different angles, maybe like that guy was talking about. But it matches my skin really well. Super comfortable. I did feel the edge, but it was controlled. A great experience. Very happy with that. I'm really happy with that. How much water did we use? 3 1/4 teaspoons. We had a 50-second load, 3 1/4 teaspoons. It's not really all that much considering this much lather. How many extra passes do we have? 3, maybe. So that's 6 passes of lather. I'd say this is the perfect consistency of the Rsrv. Definitely not too wet. Probably could go a little less, touch less water maybe. Try to get it to be more creamy, but I've kind of tried that before. So 6 passes of lather. Lather's terrific. If you got this soap, I can see why you might enjoy it. Just in the finger feel department. Just doesn't have that buttery slickness that I kind of like to go for. But still highly recommended soap base, especially if you've got hard water. And if you like post-shave treatments, like what some of those oils and butters are going to help you with. If you've got dry skin, then this can be a really good piece for you. All right, so the lavender, like I was saying, kind of surprised me. I expected to maybe have a little bit of femininity with it, and that would be my hang-up. That wasn't the case. I think the part of lavender that I did smell was nice, and I could see why people would use that, but that medicinal scent, whatever it is really kind of detracting. Now, could it be an acquired scent that you notice for the first time, but then for future uses you don't? I'll see. I think it's worth trying again. So that's a little bit of a surprise. Performance was nice. With the soap, skin feels great. I definitely do not need a post-shave product right now. So I'll probably throw an alcohol splash on there because my skin can sometimes use that since it's so oily. Oh yeah, hey, I've got the lavender splash, so let's try that. That could unveil a whole new scent aspect, since the soap base itself can sometimes hide some different pieces of the notes. Love the razor, the blade. Brush was tremendous as usual, just felt terrific. And so let's try the splash. Now's a good time. I love the artwork on here. Matter of fact, this is a little difficult to tell which scent it is. You have to look right here. There's the BaM logo, and then Rsrv Lavender is right there, and everywhere else it's got kind of some cool stuff. Now maybe each scent has a different set of images. It's got an old key, kind of a candle looking thing, a goblet. There's not really all that shaving related. I'm going to shake it up since hopefully it's got some, good skin food type things in there with it. I think this is alcohol based. Yep. Little tiny bit of stinging. We'll let the alcohol evaporate before I start kind of thinking about what scent might be coming through on the aftershave. Splash. Nice. Yeah, there's some sweetness there. Wasn't there with the soap. All right, let's put things away. Really happy with that shave in so many respects. So the soap scent, while I was shaving, the strength, wasn't obnoxious, wasn't too strong. I'd maybe say a 5 out of 10. To me, it kind of felt more like a 4 out of 10, but I think my scale's a little different, so I often will up at 1 for the public. I definitely smell some sweeter bits and slightly more floral notes in the splash, that I have on my hands now that the alcohol has evaporated away. Is it feminine? Probably a little bit to me, but it's not on the super feminine side. And so I think if a guy wants to, smell like that, go for it. Always, if you smell like whatever you want to. If you like smelling like roses, do it. Not me, though. So yeah, I'll probably pass this aftershave splash on to somebody else. It's fun to try. And there are definitely some notes that you get in the splash that are totally absent in the soap. I think I will use the soap a few more times and just see what happens. See what happens with that medicinal kind of smell that's going on there. Interesting, kind of intriguing why that's there. Maybe it's just a part of the lavender, Oh, and another detail was that the Rsrv line, one of the neat things that I'm so glad Will did with it was he's representing some classic awesome soap fragrances that have kind of been forgotten about and written off because they were so popular at one point. and then interest just waned. And but that doesn't mean they're not awesome. And so, you know, with the spice being kind of Shulton's original recipe for Old Spice, and this lavender represents a or is trying to be reminiscent of a lavender type aftershave that was from Wales in the UK. And you may know what, you know, some people out there may know what that was called back then, but they didn't say it, probably for copyright reasons and stuff, on the Barrister and Mann website. But there's that. Yeah, some of the florals are giving way to some of that greenness and almost like some resinous wood. Maybe so. I like the way it's evening out. I like that initial burst, maybe some top notes of some florals are leaving. And what it's leaving behind, I'm kind of liking, actually. There's so many good scents out there. I probably still won't keep it. But I think it's neat. I think it's a worthy addition and a well put together scent, a well done, practiced scent with interesting nuances. It's my guess. That's how I feel. All right, man, I've got a good feeling face. Love the razor. Liked my lather. Doesn't maybe not feel great with the fingers, but the face likes it. Especially with the second rinse and the third rinse. Tremendous, wonderful, silky smooth feeling on my face. And loving that B5, second use of it now that it's in that new handle. So it's a win. This shave's a win. I sure hope there was something in here that has helped you out. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves.